Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to the Amateur Otaku Podcast. How's everybody doing out there? I am Brandon Alvarado, the Scarlet Fan here, and I am very excited to be back here talking anime manga with you guys. We're back. We're covering Doron Dororon chapter 16 and 17 of the manga, a manga that me and my good friend Isaac Wolf are enjoying a lot. So we are very excited to come back here to talk about this awesome manga. We're going to be covering more different manga later on as we get caught up, because by the time we finish this video, we're going to be caught up with the weekly releases of Doron Dororon. So we're going to start covering Kaiju number 8. We're still going to be covering My Hero Academia and My Hero Academia Vigilantes as it releases. And of course, every week we do a different show or movie or cover a weekly series. So we got a lot of stuff going on at the Immature Taco Podcast that you do not want to miss. So make sure you click on that subscribe button, click on that like for this video, share with your friends, and click on the bell for notifications so you do not miss any single episode of the Amateur Otaku Podcast. Also, if you love what we do but want to listen to us in our podcast channel, go to Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, wherever podcasts are found, you will be able to find the Amateur Otaku. Isaac, how you doing, man?
Well, first off, breathe, buddy, because you talked so fast that I was wondering if you were the next Micro Machine guy or ever that dude that sold those small cars. You know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea what you're talking about, but what I am
There's,
going to say is I am the Scarlet fan for a reason.
yeah, there was there was, I think it was in the 80s that they did the toy commercial of small cars that talked so fast that you wonder if well, he was the Flash in terms of he was in the Speed Force in terms of being able to talk so fast.
No, I can't. Trust me, there's a lot of people that talk a lot faster than I do.
I can show you if the commercial is on YouTube after this recording.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a bit sleepy, as you can see in this thumbnail.
That's that sounds
Avatar.
that sounds normal. I
Yeah.
mean, I'll know that in between snores and panels, you'll throw in your pun or two. You're gonna live up to your name by the end of this chapter, so I think it's fine. Um, but yeah, Isaac, we're back. Doron Dororon. We've loved this book ever since we started talking about it. It's getting better. Last time we talked about Doron Dororon, we ran into one of the battles, a big bad battle, because we left our team of samurai officers, of samurais and samurai officer. In this village, you have the new character Ishiha, you got Toda, you got Dora, Kusanagi, um, um, Uji, and a couple of other samurais going to this village that has been destroyed and taken over by this group of humanoid Mononoke. And the last part that we noticed is that Dora is bringing the battle to this new big guy that reminds me of E Honda, which is Tome. He's bringing the battle to him as he's trying to save Ishia, which we talked about Ishia, and we found him to be a very interesting character because he is another character that's really fond of the idea of Mononokes and human working together, and he's kind of like really excited to be working around Kusanagi and Dora. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on, but Isaac, general thoughts about chapter 16 before we start going over panels and stuff. General thoughts.
Well, it's as quirky as always. It is the when it comes to the human interaction, so to speak. And I don't remember if I said in the last review, but in our last episode about it, but this series is getting brutal. I mean, holy shit! Some of the moments in this particular in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, like the moments of violence, or I think that's one of the things that it's kind of very apparent from the beginning. It's just, I think it's just, it's getting gorier as we go into the more advanced or interesting fights, right? Like, one of the things I think we highlighted from the beginning when we started covering this manga was that even though a lot of things seemed very corny, very cookie cutter in terms of the relationships and the characters, whenever it got to the action, it was in your face, right? It was in your face, gory, bloody, and what you would expect from demons that eat humans, right? Like, you don't expect this to be any cleaner or simpler or not that violent or gory. That's what you expect when exploring these topics or these kind of villains, right? So I think it fits. But now that we're facing these other villains, which are the human and Mononoke, which are a lot deadlier than the regular Mononoke that we've seen before, I'm not surprised that it's that they're hyping the violence level up to 100. It's over 9,000. There's gonna be a lot of Dragon Ball in this, but what I like, for those that don't remember the design of Tome, um, he reminds me, if you like Street Fighter like I do, he reminds me of E Honda. He is this towering force, right? And and you can pretty much see him here, how he's just this huge crazy dude. This is a panel of Dora slashing him, but you can see this is a beast, and you can see why I say he's E Honda, because he has the whole sumo wrestler outfit going for him. Um, but you can see that he's enjoying everything that's happening. He's just vicious. But also, I do find interesting. Are you still find? I find it kind of quirky, the fact that everyone that has an ability yells out the name. That sounds a bit much for me. Are you? What do you? How do you feel about that? The fact that every time someone comes out, whether it's a Mononoke, whether it's a samurai, they always yell what the technique is. Like, I'm kind of, me personally, I kind of find it a very on the nose. You know what I mean?
It's a Shonen Jump trope. What did you expect?
Well. Here's the thing, though. I would expect that for like super special abilities, not for a punch. Or is it that this is the kind of monster that only has special abilities? Does that make sense?
Again, you read and follow My Hero Academia. You have read and watched
True.
Dragon Ball.
True.
You have read and watched Naruto, and you comment about that on
True.
this.
True. I guess I have no idea what I'm talking about. I don't know why. I
As per
think
usual.
yes. I don't know. I think this one stands out a little bit more than what I'm used to. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just tired. It's a long day. But yeah, he's a towering figure. I find this character interesting. I like the fact that he is the first one. I was mentioning this before, that he's the first one of the group of four Mononoke that we face in a battle per se, because Hida doesn't count. Even though I hope that he has a bigger role than what we saw the first time we saw him fighting Uji. Um, but we're saving Hida for later. And one of the things that we were talking about last time is that these demons, this group of demons, these group of Mononoke are very organized, and I like that because it's adding so much depth to these characters. And what I like to see is, like, there's this panel in this chapter where you can see that when Uji shows up, um, the one that speaks to the Joshimi, or Joshihime, or whatever her name is. Um, She speak whenever Uji shows up, he speaks to her, speaks to him, to Tome, and kind of tells him, "Hey, don't." Oh, actually, no. The one that's in charge tells them not to kill Uji because they want to make sure that they kill as many samurai officers specifically. With samurai officers are one of the high-ranking ones, and Uji is one of them. They want to kill high-ranking officers for a reason, and it's like they're trying to deplete the ranks of the most powerful samurais out there. And I like the fact that they have an objective like that, as opposed to just being blindly killing people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Um, what do you like? What are your thoughts of Tome, of that particular demon, the big E Honda guy? Or
I
what are your
mean,
thoughts on the one that's leading the pack?
if you're talking about first of all, Tomei, the big guy, he's the stereotypical first boss, if you get what I mean.
Yep, yep.
It's abundantly clear that he's just there to sort of like, okay, if you're going with video game terms, he would be. Have you played? Um, have you played Twilight Princess?
I am not.
Okay, you need to play that game or read the manga for that matter. That one, that manga is fantastic, and we need to cover it as soon as every volume is available. Unfortunately, Wiz doesn't have it, but I digress. And, and there is there is a boss in this game that is sort of like a, wouldn't call big boss, but it's one of it's sort of like a roaming figure that you meet in the beginning, and it's sort of like a it's sort of like the one true personal boss that you take down, sort of kind of thing. It's hard to explain if you haven't played the game, but if the game comes out on Switch, as I expect it will be this year, considering Breath of the Wild is delayed, you should play it because, unlike many others, Twilight Princess is actually my favorite Zelda game. But that's besides the point.
No, but I know what you mean about being the first. It has that quality of being like the first villain vibes. I totally get that. Um, it makes me think about, like, I don't know. I know you don't play Souls games, but like it's like the cleric beast. It's like, which is the first big werewolf that you find, which is like a huge werewolf like Quisher. When you meet that, the teacher, the gym teacher in Persona 5, like that whole palace is a training arc, like it's like a big giant tutorial, right? And you getting to him and beating him, it's like you getting into the world and all that. So yeah, I can see where you're going with that, because beyond, like, after you beat that first boss in Persona 5, every other boss becomes a lot more creative, and all the battle system becomes more intricate. Does that make sense? Like, it just expects you to grow to a certain point to be able to proceed. um
Yeah,
so
pretty
yeah,
much it.
I do agree with that a lot. So I like the fact, I like that big, the first boss vibes. I like the idea that Uji kind of leaves Toda, Dora, and Kusanagi in charge and believe in them to defeat Tome, which is awesome. But I also like the fact, um, I find it fascinating, the whole thing with I want to know what the story is behind this group of Mononoke. I want to know what is driving their decisions. Like, they're not mindless Mononoke. They have a goal in mind, and they're trying to achieve it. And I just want to know what that goal is and why. And I'm just fascinated by that. Like, not right now, that's all I want. Like, yes, the action is awesome, but now I just want to know what they're about.
I would have
Now,
liked just honestly. The one thing that I have in complain with this chapter is, well, it sort of feel the fight felt kind of short. I'm not saying that they should drag this on Dragon Ball style, but maybe one or two chapters more.
Well, think about it. This fight, I mean, and I know what you mean, and I am little. We're moving a little forward, guys. And what Isaac means is that by the end of chapter 17, it appears that the fight against Tomei is over. But you got to think about it. It took 2.5 chapters, so it wasn't like just one. You know what I mean? Because the encounter with Tomei starts towards the end of chapter 15. The entire chapter 16 is about the fight, right? And then you have chapter 17 that's all about the counterattack, which I think with what you just mentioned, because you can see that that and Toda and Kusanagi are all struggling to fight this guy. Toda, Kusanagi, and Dora. You can see. I mean, by the way, the panels look great. Like you gotta watch this. This panel looks phenomenal. I gotta give it to the mangaka because like panels like these, action wise, I like his use of. Let me pull it up here. I like his use for exclamation and movement and all that. I mean, that looks pretty great. Don't you agree?
It's very raw.
Yeah, and I actually like it. I like the fact of how raw it is. Like it's unrefined on purpose. Does that make sense? So so I
I
like
agree. Yeah, sort of does.
I like that a lot. Um, but like you said, by the end of the chapter, Toda and Dora and Kusanagi are trying to fight this guy, and they 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 put together their determination to fight him, and they start doing this thing that I think we got to jump in directly to the next chapter because we always talked about Pokemon and how there's and how there's a lot of Pokemon references in this manga. But this title right here, I mean, come on now.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Yes. Um Sword and Shield has nothing to do with Pokemon, but still, I find it funny. Um so one of the coolest things about this chapter, which is not it's not even it's there's a lot of stuff that happens. So Toda and Dora have been fighting Tomei. Tomei's kind of like been kicking their ass, and every time he drinks from that gourd that apparently is filled with blood, and you can see it right here because he has this gourd that he continues to drink from, and every time he drinks it, he gets kind of he gets like more power, and you can see it here in this clip of chapter 16 where every time he drinks from that gourd, he kind of like powers up, and you can see it right here, which is kind of interesting. And that's very similar to like Demon Slayer, that whenever the more humans the demons eat, the stronger they become, which is why Muzan is like super strong, right? Um, but you can see him carrying this gourd, which is very like very drunken master kind of thing, which actually is pretty cool. Um, but he keeps drinking that gourd. He keeps getting stronger, and every time he attacks Toda and Dora, he's overpowering him. Them, but Toda is resisting all the attacks, which is because now what I love about it, which is why this chapter is called Sword and Shield, is that they're not blindly fighting Tomei. They have a strategy, and the chapter goes into detail about not just about power levels, but also about how Dora and Kusanagi's partnership and newfound power, which is Dora acting as a vessel to amplify Kusanagi's supernatural energy. I like how they explain them, which I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say this is Dragon Ball Z. Come on now. Like, am I the only one that thought about Dragon Ball here?
Yeah, you do. It did. Yeah, you did.
I'm the only one that thought it. You didn't think Dragon Ball Z?
No, I didn't.
Bro,
Honestly.
I'm gonna tell you right now. Okay. So Toda is the strongest in defense, right?
Yeah.
Kusanagi is the strongest. So Toda's job, Toda is literally Piccolo in the Frieza fight. He's just trying to keep Frieza at bay while Goku is in that chamber trying to
I
get
mean,
healed.
come on. There
No,
is more stories than Dragon Ball that have done
I
stuff
know.
like
But
that.
here's why I say Dragon Ball. What he's doing, it's literally Kaioken. What Dora is doing, he's just charging ki and going through levels Kaioken style. It's like super. It's literally feels that way.
Eh,
Either that or he's gathering the spirit bomb. Come on now, like it's. I mean, again, it's very common trope in shonen, and you're right. But I just find it so hilarious because that's all I could think about. But then again, the action, the panels are great. Like you can see, um, all the panels that you see them, like the whole panel. Let me see. So you can see that as Toda is just resisting all the attacks from Tome, you have you have Dora on the side charging,
and
which I
I'm
mean
so
they don't show him screaming, but you got to think he may be screaming.
I'm so disappointed in you.
Why?
You don't mention the quote unquote training panel
I'm
scenario
getting
between the
I'm
two.
I'm gonna get there, but I just wanted to point this out because what I like about this is that Tomei's kind of freaking out. He's getting goosebumps
I
because of all
mean,
the power that Dora is generating, which I find fascinating. Because again, going back to the fact that since Dora is 100% useless when it comes to supernatural energy because he has none, he becomes like an amplifier to Kusanagi, which goes back to something that you've been saying forever, that there's something about Kusanagi's power that we're going to need to find out at some point. It because apparently he's like this unlimited well of energy. So, but yes, you were talking about a training arc, and like I said, they're not just blindly fighting against Tome. There is a not a training arc because there's really not much of a training arc, but there's a panel in this same chapter which is great because it kind of explains how Uji, before they went to the field, Uji has been training Toda and Kusanagi, and Dora and Kusanagi, but specifically Dora and Kusanagi, about how to amplify their abilities and how to reach different levels and different strengths. Literally, how Kusanagi and Dora syncing together make them a more efficient offensive weapon because they don't really talk about defense when it comes to Dora, but they already know that by Kusanagi sharing that, he's more resistant to attacks. But they were focusing on the more offensive side of it. But I like the fact that in very short in a very short period, like because you got to think about it, it's not a whole chapter talking about this, which I think it goes back to what you were saying about probably the battle going by too fast, because you and I both know that if this was any other shonen, we would have two of the battle and then one whole chapter about them training and then go back to the battle.
I mean, the training part, I don't have any issue with taking so fast. If anything, I actually enjoy, find that refreshing. It just maybe
Me too.
extend that battle a little bit.
Well, here's the other thing though. With the whole thing with this battle too is the fact that So they, as you saw in the panel, it shows you because okay, we're kind of throwing it to them to everybody. If you were watching this video, you've read the chapter. So this is the chapter where the battle ends. Dora and Kusanagi are able to defeat Tome. Um, by because they're able to they have enough time to charge up supernatural energy, and they're able to take it not to stage 2, but they take it all the way to stage 3. Which, by the way, can we before we go into the different stages of Dora and Kusanagi, can we talk also about the fact that the villain also has different stages of power? Because I mean, you can see right here in this panel right here that his the way he looks changes dramatically, and
What
he looks
caught my,
he
before we
he
go into that,
yeah.
I know I want to mention something.
Go ahead.
Uh, when I first read that chapter, it comes to when he mentioned when Dora says, "But that's cowardly. I don't want someone else to have to cover for me." Then
Yeah,
Toge is, "Don't be an idiot. Who
yeah,
cares if it's cowardly? Our top priority is in defeating Mononokis and saving humans. We
yeah,
are a team. All we got to do, what we can, and work as a team is to finish the mission." Then you're the one that said, who said you will be in the field. Well, nothing wrong with a little friendly rivalry to spur us to greater heights. But he got a point.
yeah, yeah. Because it's not about personal pride at this point. It's not about him being the hero. It's about the team surviving and doing the job. Because of the
Also, I have to going back to what you said. Also, I don't know if you caught it on that chapter, but when he transformed with his old spikes, if you have a panel of it, you can go
yeah.
pick it up now.
So he as soon as he gets the goosebumps and thinks that he's about to, he needs to kill Dora as fast as possible. He literally goes to his final form. Yeah, I'm gonna keep doing DVC reference, and he just becomes a lot stronger, and he's just kicking Toda's ass, kind of, which is crazy.
I'm talking about the transformation after you see the training part.
So yeah, so there's two transformations. There's that's the first one, but the second one is whenever he prepares for the attack as he starts rushing. Yeah, like he's getting ready for an attack, which reminds me to a he reminds me about a tyrant, which is one of those monsters, one of those bosses from Resident Evil. He reminds me of that.
I don't know if you caught this
You're talking
during
about this
that
one,
time.
right?
Yes,
Uh
I
huh.
don't know if you caught this. The panel below the "I got to kill them" part.
Yeah.
If it says in the small pictures, back in my world, it could easily kill any Mononoke with this technique.
Yes. Yes. That's a big one. Yes.
Which begs the question: Is has humans taken over the Mononoke world? Has Mononoke ended up in the? Has the Mononoke come out to this world for something? You get what I mean?
Yeah, like some what's happening there that like what how does the world over there work? Right? Like that he's been fighting other Mononokes and killing other Mononokes. Is that just a ranking thing or something? Or like why are Mononokes coming to to Earth? Like, why is that happening?
And
Or
also,
did we
it just,
invade them? I don't
but it also reminds me of the chapter where you meet, well, going with the Dragon Ball Z reference again, the Super
know.
Saiyan 3 Mononoke, when he
Yes.
said, "Is this a human world?" Which makes me wonder if the monster Mononoke is sort of like portals for the humanoids Mononoke.
It could be. It is very possible. I mean, that's how we found Hirahisa. So I guess we'll find out as we move forward, right? Um, but I don't know. I like the whole thing about like I don't know. I find it interesting that we're only in chapter 17, and power levels are such an important piece of conversation to this manga. You know what I mean? Like things that would have taken I wouldn't be surprised saying hundreds of chapters to explore. Like they've made it a point from the beginning. There's different levels out there, and you are weak. Like the whole thing with Jinshiyo, right? Like we thought that that was going to be like the top tier for a while. No, she's already trying to become stronger because she's not as strong. Like this is moving like a super fast pace, but I like the fact, like you said, it still feels refreshing. Like this take doesn't feel that it's leaving us behind. But I wonder, do you think that people that are not used to reading manga like us would feel like it's moving too fast, or do you think that we just notice it because we're used to looking for those things?
I can see a combination of both.
Yeah, right. But I just find it interesting. It's very interesting the decisions that Mr. Ozuka has been making throughout the writing of this book. Um, but last but not least, because as we start getting to wrap up, um, Dora is able to get to the final stage, and not only that, he looks again Kaioken, because the reason I say Kaioken is for two reasons. Reason number one is because he doesn't change in how he looks; he just has the aura, right? Which is the whole thing about Kaioken. It's all red, and but it doesn't change Goku's physicality in terms of like, yes, his muscles grow or whatever, but he still looks like regular Goku. You know what I mean? Like Super Saiyan, everything changes, right? Um, even when it goes to like Super Saiyan Blue or whatever. Um, but he gathers all this energy and unleashes the attack. And I like the fact that his style is called merged humanoke, which, by the way, very interesting and cool play on words. um, which is kind of like what you wanted, right? Like, which is also what I find interesting. Like, because in a regular shonen, what do you normally find? You find a gifted youngster or a gifted main character that follows a school of training or thought, and after a while kind of branches out and creates his own thing. Does that make sense? Like he starts, like for example, you have Tanjiro from Demon Slayer, where he learns water breathing, and but as the story progresses, he's able to learn. He starts exploring sun breathing, right? Um, it's not. This one's completely different from the beginning because their combination is so particular. He is developing his own style with help, as opposed to learning the style from someone else and then moving from there, which I find it refreshing and very interesting because they're not they're treating it as a new particular case, and I don't know, I like that way of handling it because they're not trying to retread same patterns. They're setting the standards based on the story that they want to tell and the characters that they're exploring. But this is a wicked awesome
Yeah,
panel, by the way. It looks great.
I really enjoy it too.
Yeah.
But, well, do we have anything else to say about this? Or should we wrap this thing up?
I don't know. I think that's it, man. I mean, we love Doron Dororon. We love this book. We love it a lot. We love it a lot. We're gonna keep covering it, guys. But after this chapter, after this video, we're gonna be covering Doron Dororon every 2 weeks because we feel that if we just cover one chapter at a time, there's not that much to talk about. So what we're gonna do is starting with this one, we're going to be covering Doron Doron every 2 weeks, which means that we won't have another video on Doron Doron towards the till the end of April. But do not worry, that's going to give us an opportunity to talk about a different manga every week, which means that, and Isaac's been mentioning it before, and I'm excited because I'm going to start reading it this week. And the weeks that we do not do Doron Doron, we're going to be doing Kaiju number 8. This book is blowing up, so we're very excited to cover it.
It's also
And
going to get an anime adaptation produced by Toho soon, so.
oh, it's official?
Yep.
Awesome. So you heard it. You heard it, guys. There's a good reason we're doing Kaiju number 8. And if anybody knows these things, it is Isaac. So stay tuned. We have a lot more manga coverage coming soon. If you love what we do here, make sure you click on the subscribe button, click on the like button, click on the bell so you don't miss any coverage of Doron Dororon and Kaiju number 8 coming up. Things that are coming to the Amateur Otaku podcast. We have covered Dress Up Darling. We're going to start covering Spy Family. And we're going to cover movies like Kiki's Delivery Service. I think we're going to cover Whisk Your Way at some point. Bubble, that's going to come out on Netflix, which looks like an awesome, crazy, trippy ride. We can't wait to cover Bubble for the channel. There's a lot of more stuff coming up, so stay tuned of the Amateur Otaku podcast. Isaac, where can we find you, man?
Well, you can find my work at Wobum Entertainment, and you can find me over at Emblemaniac on Twitter. And in case Brandon forget, we have a giveaway contest over at Twitter where we will give away 3 months premium on Crunchyroll in celebration of the Anime Day, and you can find that over at the pod's Twitter account, the Amateur Otaku Pod, where it's all about like, retweet, and follow the account. And well, if you're a sub here, you get a higher chance. Sub here / getting fixing a 5-star review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. It's sort of like a bonus entry in order to get it possible. But I just want to figure that out for anyone that is not following us on Twitter, but is subscribing to us here. So, and well, that's about it.
Awesome. You can find Isaac at Emblemaniac on Twitter, and you can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter, and you can follow us at the Amateur Otaku Pod on Twitter as well. I'm really excited for the giveaway. What?
I said that you can follow us at the Amateur Otaku Pod, but whatever.
Hey, we always end like this, so I figure why break it.
Well, okay, fair enough.
Follow us there. Hopefully, if you follow Retreat, this giveaway is awesome. We'll see you next time. Have it awesome, guys. Peace.